Welcome to Many Talks podcast, talking all business, entrepreneurship, property development, finance and investment. Reece Many here from Many Talks, your host today on Many Talks. Thanks for listening and your continued support. We've got episode 3, season 3, new episode. I've got a fantastic guest with me today. A lot of you know that I'm a Tottenham supporter, so to have somebody like this on my podcast is an honour. I've got Ledley King, thanks for coming down.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
England international, Tottenham legend, Tottenham ambassador right now, so really appreciate your time. So we're just going to talk to Ledley about, you know, what we talk about on a lot of our episodes is how he started, what he's doing now, what's in the future for him. Little bit about football as well, because that's his forte. So to start off with, Ledley, thanks for coming down again.
Thank you.
You know, you started off playing football, like the majority of people, Sunday League, at a team called Sedrab, a very well-known Sunday League team. A lot of professionals have come through that rank. What was different there than other Sunday League teams to produce so many high-end players?
It's a good question. It's a question I'm asked a lot.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't know the answer. I just think, the football club was based in East London, and I just think we had a good bunch of players kind of coming through at that kind of time. You know, speaking about my team itself, we had 5 players that went on to kind of go on to play Premier League football, which is incredible. But I know that a couple of years younger was Jermaine Defoe and Leon Knight.
Yeah.
And even before my time, there was, I think Sol Campbell played there, and I think Alan Kirbishley and Lee Bowyer and people like that. So.
Was it well known that when you went to that club that they produced good players, or is it just a coincidence?
I think it was well known that they produced good players.
Yeah.
But for example, I was there when I was probably 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah.
I know John Terry joined probably when he was about 10, 11, a little bit later. But luckily, I think we just managed to all push each other on. We all wanted to be the best players. And naturally, we kind of pushed each other on. But there's no doubt that we kind of really went out looking for the best players in the area probably and got them together. Yeah.
So it had a good core of getting people together.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And a lot of people flocked to that. I mean, what was it like playing when you was younger? Did you know that you was destined? I know that not every, but most little boys' dream is to be a professional footballer, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Was that your dream?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, people ask me, what would I have done if I didn't play football? I still don't know the answer. And if you'd asked me when I was 10, 11 years old, I would have said, of course I'm going to be a footballer, and naively, because that's all I knew that I wanted to do. But without knowing how difficult it is, it was everything to me. But of course, you have to make dedication and sacrifices along the way. You work as hard as possible and kind of follow your dreams and goals. And I was lucky I had good people around me that encouraged me to do that. Yeah,
and that helps, I suppose, having good people around.
Without doubt.
You said it's difficult, which, to be at the top of any elite sport, business, whatever it is difficult. What was the most difficult thing, especially when you was younger coming through? Because there's probably a lot of people that are listening at that age now where they think, well, I want to be a footballer, and just playing on a Sunday is not what gets you to the top, I suppose. It's what you do as well off the pitch.
Yeah, it's a big part of it now. Of course, playing Sunday League football is where you kind of get seen.
Yeah.
And from then on, it's up to you to really work as hard as possible, keep developing, and that's so important for young people to keep developing. I've seen a lot of players that kind of were really good at a certain age, and by the time 4 years down the line, they hadn't developed, they hadn't kept progressing. Players had kind of gone past them. So you can never really rest. You've got to keep practicing, keep working hard, and it goes with any craft. You can never relax and really think that you're there. There's always more to do. There's always more improvements you can make, and there's no doubt that occurs in football.
Yeah, and at school you used to play for the school team as well as Sunday League. So you was just committed to football from a young age.
Yeah. It's great when you have a passion for something. You love doing it. It doesn't feel like work, so to speak. Every opportunity I had, I was playing football. In the cage, at school. Every kind of spare moment I had, it was football. And lucky for me, that was being obsessed in that way, obviously made it a lot easier.
Yeah. Okay. And we talk about it. You know, Thierry Henry said that you was probably the best centre back that he ever played against.
Yeah.
I know that Arsenal are a rival, but that must have been good coming from somebody like himself.
Yeah, of
How did
course.
that make you feel?
Yeah, you know, and we're talking about a time really when Arsenal were a team that were winning leagues.
Very good.
And we were a team that was, you know, finishing 6th, 7th, 8th. So there was a big gap in terms of the two teams. So for him to have said that about me was big, considering we're rivals as well. He didn't have to say that. So yeah, it was great. But I've always said that he was the best striker I played against as well.
Just because he said you was the best
I
defender?
had to do that. No,
Just played him a little bit back.
he was the best without a doubt as well. But you know, I think it was a mutual respect. You know, we enjoyed our battles along the way, and he was a top player.
Yeah, that was a very good player, and as you said, in a very good Arsenal team at the time.
Yeah, brilliant.
So,
brilliant team.
And was he tough to play against?
Yeah, he was
because
difficult.
Of his pace?
And because I always say the players that play in front of you, they were a lot easier to handle. You know where they are.
Yeah.
Thierry was someone who drifted around the pitch. You know, he loved to go out on the left and kind of cut inside. And you know, I'm a centre back, so there's only certain places I really can go. You know, I can't just vacate my space. So, you know, when he's out the left and he's terrorising your team out there, there's nothing I can do. You know, he's cutting inside, he's curling shots in top corners, or he's getting ahead of steam and running. Very difficult to stop. You know, players that play in front of you, they're there, and it's a lot easier. So, you know, and I think that's, you know, not just with Thierry, but when you look at football in general, for me, the best players are the ones that kind of are able to move around the pitch and float around the pitch, makes them really difficult.
Bits.
Yeah.
Talking about that, let's move on to obviously Tottenham. Talk about you know, the way Thierry was playing, Harry Kane and Son at the moment. Arguably the best partnership in the Premier League. Do you think so? Or?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
And why do you think they click so well?
I just think it's two really good players that just complement each other. You know, I think that I know they speak a lot, you know, on the training pitch about if I do this, you do that, and things like that. But ultimately, I just think they, you know, we know that Son loves to run in behind, and Harry's such a clever player that he can drop deep. And I just think the combination of both of their movements make it so difficult for teams, because if you do let Harry turn, you know, we've seen his passing range, his shooting range from distance. So there's that balance of, you know, one running and one dropping deep that causes teams big problems.
Yeah, well, let's hope they keep on firing. Obviously, they're playing well. They've had a new manager come in. Yeah. You've worked under a few different managers at Tottenham. What do you make of Conte?
For me, he's one of the best.
Yeah,
no doubt. You know, he's a proven winner, not just as a player. You know, I know he won plenty as a player, but as a manager as well. So. He's you know, it's great for us to have him at the football club. You can see his passion shining through.
Yeah, that's
you know,
what I was
on the touchline. You know, he must sleep well at night. Put it that way. He must feel like he's played it himself. But that's a passion that fans love to see.
They do love to see that.
Fans love to see that. Players love to see that the manager's involved and invested.
That's what I was going to ask. That was a question. When you're playing and you've got a manager that's so emanated on the touchline, does that spur you on a little bit more when you're on the pitch?
Yeah, I'll tell the truth. It didn't really happen during my time. I can't think of any managers that I played under that were like that.
Yeah.
I think it was something that really come into the game in the last 10 years or so. You know, more of the foreign managers coming in, and maybe their style is to be a little bit more animated. And so it's something that we've got used to. At first, I'll tell the truth, I didn't like it. I was like, what's, you know?
Yeah.
But now, when the managers don't sit down, you know, they used to sit down before, and now they stand up
scream,
in their box, and as a player, I think you just know that the manager's got your back and he's with you. You know, while you're out there on the pitch battling, he's on the side doing the same. He's doing the same, and that's great.
Yeah, it is good. Well, what's the hopes for Tottenham for the rest of the season? Do you think? Do you think that we could get top 4 over Arsenal? What do you think? Yeah,
it's achievable. You know, me, the type of player that I am, if it's achievable, of course, you know, I'm going for it. So I like to think that the players, the manager, everyone there thinks that it's achievable. Obviously, the Arsenal game is going to be a huge game when it comes. But yeah, the players are more than capable of doing it. But we do know that there are some other teams that are there, Man United, Arsenal,
Yeah, there's a lot
West Ham,
there.
who have been still hanging in there doing well. And for me, it's something that's going to go down to the wire. It will go down right to the end of the season. But of course, Tottenham are one of the teams that can do it.
Yeah. Well, the next 3 games of the season are pretty, pivotal for us, aren't they? We've still got Liverpool, City, so there's a lot still to play for.
So much to play for, of course, yeah. But I would say when you get to this point of the season, you want something to play for.
Yeah.
When you're sitting there in mid-table and you're not going to get relegated, you're not going to qualify for Europe. The season can really
just drag on a little bit.
It can just kind of fizzle out.
Yeah.
I think
and if you're in that situation, obviously playing, how do you keep motivated if there's not a lot going on? Is it tough?
Yeah, it can be difficult. Yeah, we all want something to aim for, don't
Yeah.
we? We want something to achieve. And while it might not be the relegation battle that you want to be involved in,
Yeah.
You're alive. You feel alive. Every game is important to you.
Yeah.
And that's why you play the game, for that kind of buzz, for that feeling, for that achievement. And yeah, the middle table teams, it can be difficult, but to be in with a chance, of course, for the top 4 is still exciting. Obviously, the Premier League title is still going to go down to the wire as well. So for me, it's one of the best Premier League seasons in a long time.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Just to come back to something that I was thinking about, and I suppose a lot of people do at the moment, Spurs legend to our fan base, and anybody to do with Tottenham. You played for Tottenham throughout your whole career.
That's right.
Loyalty doesn't seem like it used to be as strong as it used to be back in the day. Do you see that, or did you stay at Tottenham for that reason, because you're a loyal person, or is it just the way it played out?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think it's part personality involved in it. Maybe part of the way it played out in terms of injuries as well. But for me, I was captain of the team from a young age, and I wanted to take my team to go and try and win things. My dream was to go and try and win the Premier League with my team.
Yeah.
Obviously, I had injury problems from the age of 26, really, so that kind of slowed me down as in my own development. But that was my plan, and I'd rather win 1 or 2 with my club than 5 or 6 elsewhere. But everyone's different, especially when we're talking about foreign players, for example, that come to the Premier League, and sometimes we feel that they've got to stay at the clubs. But really, they didn't really. Some of them don't really know the clubs before they come to the clubs, they're just they're signed and they're looking for the next step. But for me, coming through the youth team and having that kind of connection with the fan base was so important to me. And I think players like that are always going to be so important to a football club. You look at the other teams, Man United teams, the ones that come through, the Beckhams, the Gerrards, Scholes, Giggs. Chelsea with Terry and Liverpool, Gerrard, Carragher. These players are always going to be integral to a team. They kind of keep the balance of the team. They keep all the players that kind of come into the football club. They let them know what it's about and what it means to the fans. So that's why it was important for me.
Yeah. And some of them, the pundits, they still talk about that today. Gary Neville, Roy Keane, people like that.
Yeah.
You get them talking about that core, and they see that missing in some of the teams that they look at. Now, just touching on, obviously you spoke about being held back because of your injury. A lot of young kids or a lot of people have been held back, or they say that they didn't make it because of an injury, and it can be a tough time going through that. Obviously, you went through your career playing with an injury. That held, I know it's a bit of a silly question, it held you back slightly. What do you think where you could have been? Do you think about that? Is it something that plays on your mind?
Yeah, naturally, if you think about that. But, when I was young, I wanted to be the best player in the world. That was kind of my thing. I want to be the best player in the world. But I didn't know how big the world was. It was just my world that I knew. So then I started playing for England under 16s, and then you realise, okay, there's some good players in the other countries as well. This Spanish kid's, he's good. Maybe I'm not going to be the best in the world, but I'm going to be the best in my position in the world. And that was my aim, to be the best in my position. And you know, I still think to this day I could have been that. You know, I was 26. In terms of my mentality, in terms of my understanding of the game, I was in my peak, but physically, you know, I couldn't do what I wanted to do. So,
but you still played at a top level, what a lot of people couldn't do.
Yeah, I mean, part of that is I was lucky enough that I was able to. I suppose you have to be good enough, because the first thing is, it's easy for the manager not to play you. You're not training, you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Throughout the week, if you're playing, you got to be helping the team. We've got to be winning games. That was my thing. If I'm playing, we've got to win.
Yeah.
I've got to make the team a better team, because otherwise there's no point in me being there. So that became my sole aim, really, rather than my individual performances or, you know, how good I could be. It was making sure that when I was on the pitch, we were a better team than when I was not on the pitch.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of
So
went
do you think what you're saying is the manager and the team off the pitch helped you to carry on and continue at that level, because they believed they could see what you brought to the team? Other managers might have said, actually, that you're not training. We can't play you.
Yeah, I know some managers that, you know, for example, before Harry Redknapp, one day Ramos was the manager.
Yeah.
And when he came in, he couldn't believe that I didn't train. He said, no, you know, that's not going to work. You can't. And then he kind of saw the results without me playing, and then I played, and then he changed his tune.
Yeah.
So I was lucky that he managed to do that. But with Harry, for example,
what did that feel like, with him coming in and just saying, I bet you thought, well, what's gone on here? Like,
well, I mean, it was a tough one. I had to kind of prove to him. Well, basically, I had to train. I started training. Yeah. And then he saw my knee would just swell up, and then I wasn't able to play. Yeah. And then it's costing the team, because you know, at the end of the day, it's a results business. Yeah. And if I am helping the team, then, you know, that's the most important thing. So I think Harry kind of recognised that, and, you know, obviously his confidence in me was big, in terms of him saying that, you know, we're a much better team when you play, and things like that. But also the fans, you know, the reaction of the fans whenever I was on the pitch. It was almost,
see, everyone's got eyes, you know.
But it was always like is he playing? Is he going to play? Is he playing? Yeah. And then, you know, I'd come out, and the reaction
would be happy.
Everyone would be happy, and that kind of get me
times,
going.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah. So when you say you didn't train, you just completely didn't train at all?
Completely didn't train.
No.
Yeah. So my week would be, if we played on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'll be inside, physios, in the gym, you know, trying to keep my muscles strong in my body, because I couldn't replicate running. I couldn't replicate running throughout the week. I couldn't replicate jumping, playing football. So what would happen was I'd start playing, and then after a few games I'd break down with a muscle injury, just because I couldn't replicate that. But if I was lucky, I would go out the day before a game and try and join in training. Sometimes I couldn't even do that. And then it would just be like, whatever, we play on the Sunday again, and then the same thing happened the next week. And that was it for 5 years, really. So, but people don't realise how difficult it actually was when your teammates go one way and you go the other way.
Yeah, that's what I was going to come on to. I suppose mentally that's got to be tough for you.
Very tough, mentally.
Because you're not out there
doing
enjoying the banter.
You're missing out on all the fun. You're missing out on all the fun. And literally, you know, although we have to do all the hard work in the gym, it's not really what we enjoy doing. Yeah. We want to be out there playing football with our teammates, and, you know, to be in the gym every day on your own, it was tough. It was definitely tough. But as I say, it was just a kind of knowing that we're a better team. When I got myself out there, you know, seeing how the fans reacted towards me, that was everything I needed.
Was it hard to get yourself out there, knowing that you're going to sort of run through a brick wall for 90 minutes or a little bit longer, and come Monday morning you're going to be in pain? No. You never got any thoughts like that? It was just, that's what I love doing?
Yeah. Listen, that was the only thing I had to look forward to.
Yeah, that pushed you to
just playing the game.
Yeah.
You know, throughout the week was not enjoyable for me.
And you enjoyed that? It
was the game. That's where I got my buzz.
Yeah.
And then, you know, unfortunately after the game, it was back in the cupboards until the next week.
And anybody that's going through something like that, what kind of advice or something that you could say to them? Because I suppose it's a daunting place, as you said. It can't be nice.
I think nowadays we've got used to talking more.
Yeah.
You know, back in when I was playing, you know, people were just kind of a little scared to say how they felt, or you know, whether they were suffering with any kind of depression. You know, and you often isolate yourself at times. You know, keep yourself away. I tend to kind of be a little bit embarrassed around my teammates because it's almost like a stigma. When you're injured, it's not a nice position to be in as a player. And when you're constantly injured, you feel that pressure.
Yeah.
That you're not helping your team. You're not there on the training pitch. You're not training. You know, the players are out there in the snow at times, in the freezing cold weather, in the rain. And then you're in the gym, and they're sneakily wishing that, you know, on that given day they could be in the gym.
Yeah.
But so all this makes you feel a bit guilty that you're not out there, and I think that you tend to hide away from your teammates. But I think the most important thing to do is to talk to your teammates, talk to your colleagues. You know, say how you're feeling, and try to be as integrated as possible by maybe doing other things. So, for example, I couldn't train, I couldn't do, you know, but maybe there was other things that I could do off the pitch to kind of keep the kind of
be in the bubble.
Keep me in the bubble. And it doesn't necessarily mean going out drinking. You know what I mean? There's other things that we can do to have fun, to have a laugh. You know, whether it's inviting the teammates around your house.
Yeah.
You know, there's other ways that you can still be part of a team, and I think that's something that I've learned the older you get.
Yeah. And is that the same now? I suppose with the teams now, banter and that bubble's important. You see a lot of teams that you can see their togetherness, and then there's some teams you can look at and you can just see that they're a little bit. Yeah,
I mean, when you're hearing things coming out of football clubs or training grounds, that's never a good sign.
Yeah.
You know, and it always is something I never like to see. You know, because you like to think that, you know, your little kind of place that you go to work every day is kind of,
it's a unit.
It's a unit, and there's a togetherness, you know, and that's how you want to create things. You know, the best teams always have that team spirit, and you know, I think the manager's a big part of that. The manager's a big part of creating that. You know, the person on top, you know, encouraging that spirit within the team, encouraging the lads to do things that are going to kind of build on that spirit, and I think that's something that I've learned. Yeah.
And talking about managers, who, you know, you played under a few different managers for Tottenham. Who spurred you on the most? Who got the best out of you?
So my first manager was actually George Graham, who was an Arsenal man, obviously. But for me, he was great because he was strict. He was a disciplinarian.
Yeah. Defensive manager.
And he's defensive manager, and you know, I was an East London boy. You know, I was always good, but you know, I suppose, you know, I had friends, do you know what I mean, at the same time that I was kind of going away from because they weren't kind of into football. They were kind of getting in, doing other things that I couldn't really do, you know, whether that's going out, girls, whatever, do you know what I mean? I just needed to be focused. So George Graham to have at that time was great for me because, he was so strict, you know, and he was so big on discipline that kind of paved the way for my career, really. And then I had Glenn Hoddle, who I loved. He was, you know, encouraged me to play, express myself. He was important for me because I love to play that style of football, expressive football. You know, the type of defender that I wanted to be was not just a brute defender, not brute force defender. I wanted to be a skillful, flair.
Play out from the back.
To do all that, and he encouraged me to do that. So, you know, when you have a manager at a young age that encourages you to do that, then, you know, you believe that that's a good path for you, and you know, that's the way the game should be played. So he was important. And then, of course, Harry was really important because that was the back end of my career when I was struggling, and, you know, he managed to kind of keep my career going.
Yeah.
So the three of them were really important to me.
Yeah, all good. Yeah. One player, you know, plays in your position at Tottenham now, Eric Dyer. Key player for Tottenham.
Yeah.
You know, we've got the World Cup coming for England. I'd like to see him play at the back in the World Cup team. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think that he could be instrumental for England?
I'm a big fan of Eric. You know, I was in the coaching staff last season, and I got to kind of speak to him on a regular basis. Obviously work with him, but speak to him. You know, he's someone that wants to learn. And last season was his first real season as a out-and-out centre-back. You know, before that he'd played one game in midfield, one game at the back. So, you know, for me, he had not the easiest of times last season. You know, it wasn't just him, but you know, too many mistakes within the back four unit. And this season he's come back in, you know, after missing out on the Euros, that would have hurt him.
Yeah.
He's come back in, he came back into pre-season ready to go. And for me this season he's been excellent. He's been excellent at the back. And one thing about Eric is he's a leader.
Yeah.
He's a very good character, and he's someone that you really want in your team. You know, not just squad, but you know, you want him in your team as well. And I think if England are going to play three at the back, especially, and then you know for sure he should be one of the players. But even so, you know, if they want to play a back four, you know, when I look around the England squad at the moment, you know, Maguire, who was probably first choice centre back before,
he's
been struggling. He's
Yeah.
been struggling. So for me, the back four, you know, centre back positions are all to play for going into the next tournament.
Do you think he could turn it around, Harry?
Yeah, I mean, I think Gareth backs him.
Yeah.
You know, he's played well for England, and but he's just in a bad mental space at the moment. I know what it's like. You know, the game just seems a lot harder when
Things
naturally,
ain't going your
when you
way.
have to think. You know, when you're playing at your best, you don't think too much. Everything just comes natural. And now,
How can he get out of that? What he's in? What does he need to do?
You've got to play through it. You've got to play your way through it. You know, whether the manager who's close to him on a daily basis feels that he needs to pull him out for a few weeks to then bring him back in, you know, the manager will know that best. But other than that, you know, there's no easy fix other than hard work on the training pitch. You know, he always struck me as someone who's mentally strong anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that he seems to be struggling in this way. But you've got to play through it. You just got to keep
gotta
playing
keep
and keep believing in yourself. Having
Yeah.
that belief is so important. You can't have any doubts now.
And talking about centre backs, I mean, who's impressed you with their performances in the Premier League this year? I suppose Van Dijk's got to be up there.
Yeah. I mean, Tottenham have brought in a centre half this season who I've been impressed with a lot. Romero.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's 23, 24 years old. I've been really impressed with him. I think he's going to be a top
Well,
player
they
in the
talk
league.
highly of him, didn't they?
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
highly of him
You
at
know, his
Tottenham.
first season he's been excellent. But yeah, Van Dijk is probably the standout centre back in the league. What I love about him is he makes the game look easy.
Yeah.
You know, I love players like that. That you know, you don't see him sliding around or you know, getting ruffled or
Yeah,
he's
just calm,
Yeah,
collective.
it's just calm. Plays at his own pace. You know, helps everyone around him. Pulls players around where they need to be. And you know, for me, he's probably in the world at the moment. He's the top guy.
How do you think we get on in the World Cup?
I think when I look at the teams, the
I mean,
squads,
from the Euros, we've done
I
really
mean,
well. So
there's not any teams that I fear in terms of their squads. You know, I know that France are good. I think Belgium have kind of gone past that little spell now where they're that golden generation.
Yeah.
I think they're
not
not
what they
there
was.
anymore. You know, Spain are always going to be a good side. Brazil, Germany.
They're all
Italy,
there,
they're all
aren't they?
there,
That's the
but
thing, it's
there's
just-
nothing for England to fear. England are there with them.
yeah,
My only concern is the temperature and the climate.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously
It's gonna be
being
different.
being English, you know, it's
Yeah.
not something that we're used to. So it just depends on that really. But in terms of, you know, squad for squad or 11 for 11 on the pitch, I think England have a great chance.
Is there any youngsters out there, English youngsters, that you'd like to see in the World Cup squad that maybe have been overlooked so far, or is there anyone that you think that Gareth's picked that you think, you know what, yeah, I can see them?
No, I think at the moment,
He's got it.
yeah, I
he's
think
got
he's
it down
got
to a
it. I
T.
mean, the one player that I really like is Bellingham.
Yeah.
Jude Bellingham. I think he's going to be some midfield player. You know, and of course, selfishly, I'd love to see him in the Premier League, but only at Tottenham, of course. But yeah, for me, he's going to be a fantastic player. It wouldn't surprise me if he's starting come the next tournament. But yeah, other than that, you know, there's players that have kind of come in and come out, and you know, but ultimately, I think that the main bulk of players, the ones that we really know at the moment, they're there, and I think the rest, you know, in the next year or two, maybe there's some more that can develop and become, you know, integral parts of the squad. But at the moment, yeah, I think it's okay.
Outside of football, obviously, I know that that's your passion and that's what you've excelled at. What else have you got going on? What's there to look forward to for yourself? I know that you're still a big part of Tottenham.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you like to get involved with outside of the sport?
Yeah, you know what? It's I mean, since I retired, the club obviously offered me the ambassador role, and that was important for me because when you retire, it can be a lonely place, especially when you're left thinking, what next?
Yeah.
So for me to kind of just slip into a new role, be around the same people that I've been around most of my life was important to me, and it just gave me some stability and time, and it's something I've really enjoyed.
Yeah.
You know, I love the kind of the flexibility of it. You know, being able to still see family as well. I love travelling, but with the team, pre-seasons. You know, meeting fans abroad. I love working in the community, you know, within the community, trying to help people, you know, get into, work, get into education, young people. You know, I grew up as an East End kid myself, and I know, had it not been for football, you know, what would I have been doing? So, you know, I understand what a lot of the young people feel
What they
go through. So, you know, I really enjoy that. And, you know, I'm still learning about myself. When you leave school at 16 and you go to training every day, to the same place, you know, you don't really learn too much outside football.
Yeah, it's just, just in that.
So I've just kind of had this chance to learn about myself, kind of find out what other things I do enjoy doing. You know, I do like the business side of things now. You know, that's something that, I didn't really think too much about football. Obviously, football, footballers earn great money and things like that. But my focus was always just concentrate on the football, and you know, the money would come if you're performing. But now I kind of like the business kind of things and how you handle money and just loads of different things. As I say, you know, I'm just kind of having a feel of different things and seeing things what I really enjoy. Yeah.
Fantastic. Just before we finish up, I mean, it'd be a shame not to talk about, I know the news has just come out that Jermaine Defoe's retired, Tottenham legend. Yeah. So just before we finish up, what do you make of that? I mean, he's had a fantastic career.
What a guy, Jermaine.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it goes back to Senrab days for me. You know, I used to finish my game and then watch him on the side playing his game, scoring 5, 6, 7, 8 goals.
Yeah, making it look easy.
Yeah, really. And then he joined the club. I can't remember how old he was. Probably about 20, 21 at the time when he joined Tottenham. Yeah. I was a couple of years younger. It was great to have him at the club. I think he scored on his debut. For me, he was probably the best finisher that I played with in my career. Yeah. But the most important thing, and the reason why he's only just finishing now, is he loved playing football more than any person that I'd ever played with.
Dedicated
he loved
everything
training.
to it.
Yeah, he lived a life. You know, he loved nothing more than scoring goals.
Yeah.
That was him.
That's what he lived for.
Just basically. And it's no surprise for me that his career went on so long. No doubt about it. He was always going to be. I thought he'd play well into his 40s, to be fair. I'm really surprised for me, he's retiring early. But no, he's
and I believe he's a big prankster as well.
Yeah. Do you know what? Jermaine's just full of energy. Yeah. He's one of them people that when you're feeling tired or you're feeling low, Jermaine would just kind of wind you up and build you. Just make you. You know, there's one story about Jermaine. Is we lived across the road from each other, and Jermaine would do things like I remember. One day I think I had my friend round and we might have been watching some TV, and all of a sudden I see Jermaine he's literally climbed over my fence on my gates in my house, and he's in my back garden, and it was kind of dark outside.
Didn't know it was.
Yeah, but he's that kind of guy. But to be fair, I returned the favour on him a month later or so. I managed to climb over his, and I scared him. But no, he's a great guy.
Well, look, we'll wrap it up there, Ledley. Thanks for coming down. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
Great career, and great for JD as well. So, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you. So for now, what I want to do is thank you for listening. Subscribe,
leave a review. Look forward to speaking to you on the next podcast with some exciting guests coming our way.